Hi, and welcome back to the Southfield Citizens Oversight Committee YouTube channel. As I told you in a previous segment, I would be back to talk about the disproportionate number of African American leaders in the city of Southfield versus the actual African American population. Southfield is known as the center of it all, the all-American city, and a diverse city. And I think all of those titles are appropriate considering the location of the city of Southfield and some of the other surrounding communities. But what I am not able to understand for the 35-year history that I have with the city of Southfield, why do we not have a lot of African American leaders in a predominantly African American community? Now, I'm going to be talking about some things, and residents, we really need to pay attention to these types of issues in the city because this is what really matters. I know a lot of people think, what is she talking about? Where is she getting this information from? You get this information by having your ears open and being at not just the council meetings, but some of these other meetings that they don't publicize. And you just have to take notes. I'm going to start with a list of some of the people that used to work for the city of Southfield, and when they left, what the city chose to do. We had a young lady, Sue Cuevas. She was a non-African American employee. I'm not sure about her ethnicity. And she was the director of human services. When Sue Cuevas retired, Miss Rhonda Terry, who is African American, stepped in her place. Rhonda Terry did not get the acting director's position for human services. She got a management position for human services. And if I didn't say it before, let me say it again. Miss Rhonda Terry is African American. Gerald Witkowski, who was the husband of the former city attorney Sue Ward Witkowski, he was the director of code enforcement. He's Caucasian. When he retired, he came back, pretty much got his same salary, working for the emergency manager, acting as a city administrator, getting pretty much all of his pay, not quite sure what he was doing and what department was paying him, and that'll be another segment forthcoming. But when he left, Maria Calhoun, who was the acting director, but not on paper and not with the money, she was never made a code enforcement director. She was the code enforcement manager. So here we have two Caucasian employees that were the directors of their department and two African American employees that replaced them that never got the respect and the income to be called director of that department. Now, you may have heard me mention this before in a previous segment. I love our Cable 15, and I love all the employees there. We have an awesome Cable 15 in the city of Southfield that is being very underutilized. And you may have heard me talking about Lisa Hawkins. Let me tell you about Lisa Hawkins. Lisa Hawkins has been with the city of Southfield for I think about 35 years. And once again, if my numbers are off or the positions are off, I stand to be corrected. Check it out for yourself. Lisa Hawkins, if my memory serves me correctly, she's been with the city of Southfield for as long as I've been around in the city of Southfield. Without really communicating a lot with her and a lot of the employees because they were told not to talk to me, not to interact with me, and not to answer any questions. I've watched this young lady grow on her job. Again, if my memory serves me correctly, early on when she first came, Lisa Hawkins, she was like some kind of writer or reporter or doing something like that for cable because of how I used to see her out in the field. Then all of a sudden, she was no longer in the field. So I'm assuming when you come out of the field, you're probably something like a director, producer. So we'll just call it that for now. And again, I stand to be corrected. And this has been since 1983. That's when Lisa Hawkins came to the city of Southfield. So from what I remember, Lisa was filming the council meetings. She was acting as some kind of director / producer and doing other things that I'm not quite sure what it's called or how they do it, but I know where I see her and how I see her moving around in the city and at all of the city events, filming those events along with some of her other employees, filming and doing the reporting. Now, we had a cable manager named Kathy Sherman. When Kathy Sherman left, Lisa Hawkins obviously, in my opinion, should have or would have gotten a promotion or a wage increase. I'm not sure if she did or not, but one thing I can say that I saw was her responsibilities. They were different. She was at the council meetings when they talked about the budget. She was at the council meetings when they talked about equipment. And I'm assuming if you're at that level, you're there at those council meetings, that you're probably like a senior producer, senior director. Again, don't hold me to the positions. Check it out for yourself. Okay, so now Lisa Hawkins is doing all of this stuff. All of this stuff. Like I said, I've been around for 35 years. In 2014, so now our emergency manager acting as a city administrator, Fred Zorn, he is the city administrator for the city of Southfield. At a meeting, he talked about the fact that he was going to make 2 employees directors. It was Lisa Hawkins, who works for Cable 15, and it was Michael Mannion, who worked in community relations. And that director's position had not been filled for many years when the previous employer left as the director of community relations in the city of Southfield. So now we've got these 2 employees. We've got Lisa Hawkins and we've got Michael Mannion. And I need to just take a peek at my notes because I wrote it down. Yes. In December of 2014, at a COW meeting, which again stands for a committee of the whole, or what they refer to as a cow meeting, the city council, at the urging of Fred Zorn, did a Rule 10. Now, a Rule 10 is something that council does in their procedures, which states on the record that it's an immediate need to act. I would think it's more of an emergency situation, like some kind of crisis. The city council uses a Rule 10 like you use your toothbrush every day, maybe at every council meeting. That is not when a Rule 10 is supposed to be used, in my opinion. So they did a Rule 10 and made Michael Mannion Director of Community Relations. So while sitting there at that meeting, I am waiting for them to do a Rule 10 and say they're going to make Lisa Hawkins the director of Cable 15. Once again, I'm disappointed. There was no Rule 10 for Lisa Hawkins or in her favor to make her a director of Cable 15. Now, why is this a big deal to me, and why should it be a big deal to you? It's a big deal to me because it appears to be race motivated. Michael Mannion is a Caucasian male. I don't have anything against Mike. He's a pretty nice guy. He's been around, but he's a director. Lisa Hawkins has been around 35 years. She's African American. She's a female. Same time, 2014. Same conversation. Going to make these two a director. But you take one person and make them a director and not the other person. The question, City of Southfield, Fred Zorn, is why did you do that? Here we are today at 2018. Lisa Hawkins is still not a director of Cable 15. I'm at these meetings when I hear Lisa Hawkins talk about the things that their department can do. We spent thousands of dollars upgrading a lot of things down there, and we're not using it. As I said in the beginning, it's one of the most underutilized departments within the city. Why spend thousands, hundreds or thousands of dollars and not utilize it? In addition to the council meetings and recording some of the events that are happening in the city of Southfield, the city could be recording the planning commission meetings, the zoning commission meetings, because those commissioners sit right in the council chambers at the desk where the council sit. The microphones are already wired, the cameras are already working, and we have staff here in the city, in the basement, in the cable department. Why are those meetings not recorded? What are we trying to hide? Or do you not want the public to see the types of issues and projects that are coming before these commissioners that will have a direct impact on the residents that live here? So now let me continue with the unequal parity in terms of the African American employees. We have a gentleman, and he's a nice guy. All of these people are nice. So it's nothing personal. It's just business, and it's the ethical aspect that I'm concerned about. Austin Michaels has been with the city less than 2 years. Just recently, it may have been a Rule 10. Check it out for yourself. Fred Zorn decided that we needed to immediately fill this position, and he was the guy to do it. No National League of Cities search. No MML, Michigan Municipal League search. No search at all. We're just going to make a former employee that worked with one of the city's contractors, Plant Moran, to make him, a white guy, the director of fiscal services. How does he get to be a director? Lisa Hawkins been there 35 years. How does Michael Mannion get to be a director? Lisa Hawkins has been there for 35 years. In addition to that, or to make matters worse, which is a slap in the face to her, to me, and every other African American in the city of Southfield, this guy gets about $119,000, Austin Michaels, to be the director of fiscal services, and his pay could go up to $126,000. He's Caucasian. Linda Staton, you've heard me talk about her before. Linda Staton works in the engineering department, but she does multiple duty. She's had 2 to 3 position increases, 2 to 3 position raises, and she also was acting as Fred Zorn's, the city administrator, executive assistant. Now, why do you have her in administration when she's supposed to be working for Lee Schultz in the engineering department? Was she getting paid to be over there while she was already on the clock for engineering? These are questions, residents, that you should be concerned about and that you should ask along with me to your city of Southfield. Now let's get to good old Shelley Freeman. Shelley Freeman is the wife of Mr. Freeman. I don't know him, but Shelley Freeman is a good friend to Fred Zorn's wife. They know each other. They're also friends on Facebook. Shelley Freeman was a one-woman department working in business and economic development. They made Shelley manager of economic and business development, or business and economic development. I'm not even sure how the department is titled because it seems like it was made up just for Shelley. So I'm not real sure. Wasn't satisfied with making her a manager, this one-woman department. They gave her another position bump and another raise and made her director of business economic development. I'm not even sure about the name of the department. So I'm saying all of that to say that if you're a part of the friends and family plan of the city administrator, you get a raise. If you're a part of the friends and family plan of the city administrator, you get a position increase. And if you're white, you get those things. But if you're African American, you don't get to the executive level, you get to the management level. Now, I'm disappointed that Shelley got a $30,000 salary increase and purportedly a $30,000 retro bonus that was pensionable. That's $60,000. What I mean when I say pensionable, meaning when they give you money and they give you a raise, that goes in your pension, and your pension is also calculated on that money. Unlike the employees, when they get a raise that they have to fight 8, 10, 12 years to get, the amount is very small, the bonus is very small, but guess what? That bonus is not pensionable. Now you go figure on that one. Let me give you another employee. And you've heard me talk about our Guinness Book of World Records employee, Mr. Rick Lampke. He's been with the city maybe less than 2 years. It is purported that he started out at about $14 an hour. Rick Lampke, I think, is up to about $29 per hour. Now, if you can get that kind of raise, that seems like it's about 50%. You ought to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. So, residents, I'm asking you to start coming to these meetings and stand with us. You need to ask the same types of questions that we're asking, the whys to a lot of these decisions. We need some African American leadership in this city because it's predominantly African American. I will say one good thing about Fred Zorn. He did make a high-level appointment of an African American in our fire department, and that's Chief Johnny Menifee. And that appointment was definitely well-deserved and befitting for our community. So, residents, keep your eyes and ears open. I am honored and humbled that you trust me when you call me with your problems, but it's really sad that you have to call a community advocate that's very outspoken when you have city officials that don't seem available, accessible to help you, and more importantly, not transparent with what they do. So stay tuned. There'll be more segments to come. I thank you so much for listening. I thank you so much for trusting me. More important, I thank you so much for tuning in to the Southfield Citizens Oversight Committee YouTube channel. Have a great day.